Hey guys, what is up? Bigger Reviews here, back again with another video. I actually had a different video planned, which was a big timeline review of Star Wars. There's actually a poster right behind me. I think you can see it right there. That has like all the timeline, and I basically filmed it all, and I was starting to edit it. But I realized I sucked complete ass in that video. I was stuttering a lot. I got some facts wrong. I got some hardcore Star Wars facts wrong. Like, do you know who Glup Shido is? But I want to redo that video and make it right. And basically, I just saw Interstellar again for the third time in theaters, and it left me speechless as always. And I just realized I've never really talked about Interstellar on my channel. One, because I wasn't doing this type of channel back in 2014. I was doing gaming. Skip. Oh! And two, I didn't really appreciate Interstellar as much as I do now, obviously, because I was only like 13, 14 when it came out. And I did love the movie when I watched it, but I never got to experience it in theaters and really break it down with the way I view movies now. And I just really wanted to talk about that for a second. This movie leaves me speechless. It has easily become in my top 5 films. I always go back and forth on what are in my top 5 and what ranking I do. Like, I know for sure Back to the Future is in my top 5. I know for sure Everything Everywhere All at Once is in my top 5. This might be number 3 for me. It's just phenomenal from beginning to end. First off, everyone in this movie is kicking ass in their performances. Obviously, Matthew McConaughey as Coop is killing it in this movie. You really see his struggle with leaving his daughter and then realizing that he has to do what he has to do to save humanity. So it's either him seeing his daughter again or him saving humanity. Anne Hathaway's doing a phenomenal job because you could see she's not really ready for the mission at first, but then she really kicks it into gear and does. Matt Damon, who, if you don't know, when this movie came out, they didn't even say Matt Damon was in the movie. They didn't put him in the credits or anything beforehand. So he was a complete surprise. And obviously Jessica Chastain and Michael Caine are phenomenal in this movie too. But this movie, I just love movies that basically take like an easy concept and just do some batshit stuff with it, even though they're trying to talk about the same concept, right? That's why I love Everything Everywhere All at Once so much, because at the end of the day, what is that movie about? Evelyn trying to be one with herself and get over the hump of how she grew up and really her connection with her daughter, right? But then you have all this multiversal shit going on and metaphors for certain things. Like, one of the best scenes in that movie is when they're both rocks, right? It's such a simple way where her and her daughter, like in a normal movie where people are kind of have boring ideas, they would just talk like normal at a coffee table. But in this movie, they're both rocks with googly eyes, and it's all a silent scene. I love movies like that because we've heard these messages for years, right? Like a mother and daughter relationship or be kind to others and all that. But when they do stuff like this where it's different ways to show it, I love that. Interstellar is no different. I love how Christopher Nolan mixes real science that we know confirmed with the hypothetical. There's a lot of hypotheticals in this movie. Like, once he enters the black hole, it's all hypothetical, right? We don't know what happens when we get into a black hole, right? So obviously he took some liberties with that. The wormhole, it's never been confirmed that wormholes can exist. Science suggests it and like supports it, but we've never done it before. Wormholes will have to something that we make, I think, if I remember reading correctly. I just love how at the end of the day, it's about Coop and his daughter with Murph, right? And that's really the emotional scenes in this movie, right? When he leaves and Murph doesn't want to talk to him, and when he's lying to her, talking about how he doesn't know when he'll be back. Probably my favorite theater experience when it comes to like what's actually like on screen, like the care and stuff. Like, I still think Endgame is my favorite experience just because it was like a community coming together and we were all like cheering and yelling and stuff. But like when it comes to like the actual movie on screen experience, I think this is my favorite. I mean, the music just gets you so encapsulated into the movie that I was shaking every time I watched it. That's why I kept going back. It was amazing. And just seeing the evolution of all these characters and how the current situation takes its toll on them. Like, we see Coop's son and how he starts off like loving and stuff and like his father, but then we see him really come to terms with, you know, oh, my father left me, like I'm gonna stop doing these messages, and being stuck in the, you know, the past where he doesn't want Murph's help. He doesn't care that his kids and his wife have a cough. You know, it kind of alludes to him being abusive with the way the wife reacts to Murph's help. And then we see Murph, who is just so into her work where she doesn't ever want to go home, doesn't want to see the stuff in her room because it's too painful, because she regrets for the rest of her life how she never got to have that final say with her dad because she was so angry. She never sent videos. She never saw his videos, right? And I just really love seeing its toll on the, like, we're dealing with some of the most insane shit that can happen in our universe, right? Time dilation, as fake as it looks, being on that planet and every hour is 7 years on Earth, that's a real thing that happens. And I know some people don't believe that, but that is a real thing. It's been proven that happens, right? And just to have something as crazy and outlandish as that but then have the human connection in it, I feel like really brings this movie together. The whole first act just being them on Earth and getting us into what's happening on Earth, seeing how Murph and Coop are, like, how connected they are and how much alike they are, and then seeing him have to leave, and it's so devastating, and how Murph, like, led them there and they chose Coop and Coop has to go. And then we get to the second act, which is Miller's planet, and I mean, it's the iconic "those aren't mountains, they're waves," right? And I love the detail. I went with my friend Alicia last night, and you know, I'm the type where I'm like saying facts the whole time, so it is annoying as shit. But I had to tell her, if you watch that Miller's Planet scene, there's a constant ticking in the background, right? And I'm sure, I mean, this is almost as well known as, oh, did you know Viggo Mortensen, or whatever his name was, broke his foot when filming Lord of the Rings? But still, every tick you hear in the background is one day on Earth. And once you know that, when you rewatch that scene, it is just something that, like, you're like, holy fuck, like, whole days are going by in the span it takes them to walk from here to here, right? Just seeing what happens on that planet and seeing the devastating effects of them coming back to the ship, and seeing Romley, I think his name is again, losing their other mate in the water, and seeing him, it's been 24 years, you see what really that does to him in isolation. It's just crazy. And then, but then it directly cuts to a human moment where you find out, and it's something unfathomable because we will never experience this, at least any of our kids, this is gonna be millions of years away when we actually start traveling out, where he catches up with 20 years of his family. I mean, he watches his son have his grandchild and his grandchild dying in the next video, all in the span of 30 seconds to him, but with them it's been 5-10 years. And that is just something you can't even begin to think. And obviously that's one of the best scenes in the movie, where he sees his son come to terms with thinking that he's dead and that these messages aren't really getting to him. And then he finally sees Murph, and Murph says the absolute, like, you could tell he's crying a bit when he's seeing his son, but he's really kind of holding it together more than you would expect. And then obviously once Murph says, this is my birthday, you said this is how old I am by the time you left, and I would be the same age. And then he just starts losing it. And I think ever since then he really wants in the back of his mind, you know what, I kind of want to just go home. And then what happens on Man's planet is really where he comes back to, let's put humanity first. And that's why Coop is the fucking GOAT. I mean, this is one of those movies where I really can't see anything wrong with it. I mean, the score is going stupid in this movie. The acting is going stupid. The visuals, the directing, everything is going stupid. I love the use of practical stuff in this movie too. Like when you see the Endurance, or when you see the little ship they're in, and like it's almost like a Rogue One Star Wars-esque shot where they put the camera on the wing of it, and you could tell it's like a prop, but it looks amazing. Like, I love that. I mean, and the whole final act is something that makes my jaw drop every time I see it, especially in theaters. I love how they set up the black hole, right? And like the minute you go through the wormhole, you see it in the background, it's looming. Every single decision they make has to do with this massive black hole and the time dilation caused of it, where they go to Miller's planet and then they lose 20 years on Earth, and it's just, I love how it's looming, and I love how then he has to face it in the end, right? Seeing Coop come to terms with never seeing his daughter again, or sacrificing humanity, and him finally just picking humanity is such like a big, but I love that they don't make such a big moment of it, right? Because they never let him or us sit back. It's just constant going, right? Like once they get to Man's planet, and once you find out Man is evil, it's just constant, oh my god, Man's leaving, we have to stop, oh my god, Man blew up, we have the docking scene, we have to go, we're getting sucked into Gargantua, we don't have time to, like usually in some, lesser well-made movies, they would be like, Coop would be like, okay, I can't go back home, I have to save humanity, and there would be like a long beat. Editor Joey here. I don't think I explained this properly. I don't think it's a bad thing that if movies have moments where the characters have to make the big decision that it's been leading up to the whole movie and it takes a beat. What I meant was, for this movie, I think this was the best option. This whole movie is a sense of urgency, right? It's urgent that humanity is saved. They're running out of time. The Gargantua black hole causes a sense of urgency because one wrong mistake and you waste a decade on Earth. So I feel like with Coop coming to this big decision that's been looming in the background, I feel like him making that decision out of nowhere and not with a big story beat moment, like calm a moment, it does work for this story in the end. And I love that it just keeps going because these characters are just nonstop, right? Like I said, man's planet, tries to kill Coop. He goes to the freaking station, blows it up. They have to dock. They get sucked into the black hole. They think of an idea. They escape. He sacrifices himself, right? Like they have no time for any of this. And obviously, let's talk about the docking scene. The best scene in the movie, hands down. I've seen it for years. Everyone talks about it. They always say it's one of Nolan's finest. But seeing it in the theater was something that I am so grateful that I was able to be born and seen it. It sounds so cringy, but like, think about it. Think about how many humans were born before movies like this, and like even after this. But like, we still were born in the moment Interstellar was made, and I just love it so much. My jaw drops every time. I mean, the music, the shots, the way Coop just kicks in. We get some iconic ass lines where he says, "What are you doing, Coop?" He's like, "Docking," and he's like, he's not possible," and Coop's like, "No, it's necessary." And oh my god, I get chills just thinking about it. And I love the debate where people talk about man and how if he's evil or not, right? Obviously, he tried to kill Coop, and I just always got the vibe that he hated he hated having to kill Coop, right? And he hated all this stuff. But in his mind, and what's sad, it's almost like a Breaking Bad-esque thing where it's like, you rooted for Walt even though you knew he was evil. In this case, it's kind of different where it comes to man's doing some evil shit, but deep down he's doing the right thing, which is ensue humanity. Because think about it, like Coop and them said, they don't have enough fuel to go to Edmonds, right? Or they don't have fuel to check out other people, so they came to Man's, and now that Man is a fraud, screw it. So he's trying to save humanity, and then once he finds out, he's trying to get back home. At the end of the day, I just think he is obviously a flawed individual, and he alludes to the fact that he was tested like no other, right? Like he knew going into that there was, he knew day one that his planet was not it. He knew going into that there is no plan A, it's just plan B, which is colonize. And Coop and them weren't told that because they wouldn't have left, right? So he's not evil, but he's not good. And I love that. I really love how they did Man, because a lot of people are like, well, he's a coward. It's like, I'd be a coward too. I mean, you could be a big man, but you get to your planet and you instantly know it's not yours, and you know that no one will save you unless you press that button and lie. I think a lot of people would press that button, and I would love to hear what your guys' thoughts down below is if you would press it or not, because I think I would, and I don't think I would press it because, I mean, I am a coward. Like, death is terrifying to us all, right? But I feel like I would press it, but I wouldn't expect people to come get me if it meant like them dooming the mission. In my mind, I'm like, okay, we're all out here. If they're going to send other expeditions, maybe they'll succeed and then come get me. But then again, they might think, like in this case, what Cooper and them did, where, oh, your planet's right because you're still responding. So I see both sides, but I think I would press it and be a wimp. I think a lot of people would too. I think a lot of people don't understand, like Man says, and he hammers home to Coop, like, that survival instinct, right? Like when his mask is broken, like Coop's really struggling with trying to find anything to survive. And that's true with everyone. I don't think people really know that until you're in the moment, me included. I'm just talking out of my ass right now. And then and I'm so glad that Nolan let Coop and Murphy see each other again. The ending where, he finally, and also once he goes into the black hole and then we get the whole stay, I kind of want that tattooed in Morse code, stay. I really love that, because just the meanings and all that behind what stay actually means, be there for your family and stuff. But seeing Coop do all that, and then he sees Murph again, and I love how short it is. In my Star Wars review, which you'll see again when I refilm it, I talk about how when Darth Maul dies in Rebels, everyone was like, oh my god, this is supposed to be a big fight, this is Darth Maul. But the fight was only 3 moves. It was block, jab down the stomach, and that's exactly what he did at Qui-Gon. And a lot of people didn't like that at first, but then it started to grow on people, because not everything needs to be big, right? That fight was so intimate between the two because they have such trauma history together, and people are expecting this long drawn out thing. And I'm just glad Murph got her closure, Coop got her closure. He, like she said, I mean, I could tear up thinking about it when he's like, how'd you know I'd come back? And she says, because my dad promised me. That is so good, and that's the core of the movie, and that's what goes back to what I said at the beginning, where you have just this at the end of the day, this premise, right? This dad made a promise to his kid, and he fulfills it, and he's done the craziest shit in human history, but he fulfilled it. And I love how short it is, and I love how she's, and it makes sense. She's like, no parent should have to see their child die. And to us, it's like, oh wow, why don't you stay longer, Coop? But think about it from her perspective, right? She's like 100, right? She's lived 100 years, and only 10 of those years were with her dad. She has her husband, her kids, her grandkids, like she says. So to her, that's more of her life than her dad. So she got that closure, and that's why she's like, you don't need to stay here. Go find Brand and go live your life. It's tragic, but I really like how Nolan worked that. This movie is just phenomenal. I know I basically just talked about my favorite scenes in the movie, but if you've never seen it, go see it, please. I know I recommend so many things on this channel, but Interstellar really is truly one of the best films of since 2000, like even before 2000. It's one of my favorite films, and I feel like especially in the past 20 years, it's top 3 film in my opinion. Especially if you love Nolan. And if you ever, get a chance, I know on the Reddit they have a thread always that's like showings in your area. It doesn't happen a lot, but if you ever for some reason hear about Interstellar coming to theaters, go watch it. Do not care how much you have to spend. It is worth every penny. Let me know what you guys think down below. Did you guys love Interstellar? Did you like it? Do you think it's overrated? Let me know, because most people I know just flat out love the movie. I don't think there's really a debate, but I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts. Next video will be a Star Wars timeline video. Like I said, I filmed the whole damn thing. I didn't like how it was, so I deleted it, so I'm going to film it again. And yeah, I'm going to try to get into the groove of this again. I always say that, but I want to find a way to balance work and this, because, obviously I would like this to become a job, but at the end of the day, it is passion. I like talking about movies, and a lot of my friends do like hearing my opinions. I like talking with them. So let me know what you guys think down below. Love you guys so much. Till then, it's Big Ray Reviews. See you later. Bye-bye.